Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday.
That's the cold open. Psychos and sickos unite for a storyline edition of PHNX Suns, coming to you pre-recorded from downtown Phoenix. I'm Erik. We got Stephen PridGeon-Garner, the owner of the greatest cold open of all time that you just saw, which was unscripted and unplanned. You didn't even know that we were recording. And then, of course, we got Old Mangled Toast, a.k.a. Juice Man, a.k.a. Freckled Mamba, a.k.a. Ayrton. Behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen, like I've mentioned a couple times now. This show's not live, but you can still hit the like button. You can still hit the subscribe button. Still hit that 5-star review on audio. I am currently on vacation and gearing up for a long Sun season. I will be back tomorrow, and we will be live post-media day, which is starting at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. So don't hit the super chat button. We will not be able to read it. I apologize for not being able to read your guys' chats here live, but still get involved, debate with us, let your opinions be known. We'll be going back and looking at it and all of that. And this should be an exciting episode, Stephen, because this is the first real taste of real basketball, I guess, beyond actually seeing it, that we're going to get for the 2025-2026 season.
It is. It's about time to start having some fun with this thing, because it's getting going and it's not waiting on anybody. Them calendar pages are flipping quickly, and here we are.
I mean, hopefully this is not the last time that we can have fun with this team. Hopefully we can have a lot of fun. And I mean, there are some good storylines. There are some bad storylines. There's a lot to watch. We'll hear from everybody at Media Day tomorrow. We should be hearing from Matt Ishbia and Brian Gregory. We should be hearing from Jordan Ott, Devin Booker, Jaylen Green, Dylan Brooks, so on and so forth. So we've got 24 storylines to get into for you today.
And
so
if you're into numerology,
grab a snack, grab a drink, kick back, relax, and let's go on a ride together. Speaking of a ride, it's been one hell of an offseason, Steven. The team looks a lot different than it did in game 82 of the 2024-25 season. Of course.
I hope so.
Well, of course, a big part of that is...
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, well, I mean, they needed to. And also they had to.
Eesh.
Because Kevin Durant, the Kevin Durant era in Phoenix was unsustainable, and there needed to be massive change. So storyline number one is, how is Devin Booker embracing the post-KD era? You can include like post-Bradley Beal, whatever, like lumping everything together. How does Devin Booker feel about where the Suns are as a organization right now?
Yeah, that's going to be one of the main driving forces for everything that this season ultimately will be, both for him and the team. And honestly, it goes back to the him part, because if he's confident in himself and where he's at, all of the experiences he's compiled with all-star level talents, without all-star level talents, being the guy, being one of the guys, being one of three guys, to going back to being what he was in his grassroots years as the guy, the man, compiling all those experiences on the court, in the practice gym, in the film room, just building a culture, establishing relationships. All of those things matter, and it's time for him to kind of compile all of those and apply the learned lessons in real time and try to expedite this retool as quick as possible.
I mean, this is a really big storyline. This is kind of franchise defining, not necessarily from the sense that I'm worried about it, because I'm not, right? From a personal standpoint, just from like having watched Devin Booker, listened to Devin Booker for his entire career, whatever, I had no doubts that he'd be fully bought into whatever iteration this team was going to roll out. But we know that he was involved in the hiring process of Jordan Ott.
Yeah.
Shams Charania reporting with PHNX Suns back in Summer League that Devin Booker was fully bought into the new culture and identity, working out with some teammates, especially these young guys. You know, I think Devin Booker wants to win a championship. scratch that. I know Devin Booker wants to win a championship. And I don't think anybody in that building is telling themselves they can't do it this year. But I also think that he understands that this franchise is on the right path. But it will be good to hear from his own mouth, hopefully so national outlets can, kind of put this to rest of, hey, and we've talked about this last week at this point now, but like Devin Booker's going to get poached. Devin Booker's going to request a trade. Matt Ishbia has been very clear. Now it's time for Devin Booker to publicly say, I'm here. I'm committed to the Phoenix Suns. Let's rock out.
But I think he's never been one to lack words, but he's definitely significantly more of the show you more than I'm going to tell you type of person.
Sure.
So, I mean, on that front, it's probably going to leave more to be desired because he's not going to be up there just flapping gums saying the words that he knows that sound good and that people want to hear. He's going to very much be more aligned with the process part of it. And I think that part is important because every team comes into the season with expectation. Well, let me rephrase that. Most teams come in with expectations higher than what their team probably suggested it should have. With Devin Booker, he understands the process part of it. And I feel like he's more akin to leaning into the process part and doing the things needed to get that going in the trajectory it needs to, more than telling people, oh, yeah, I love where we're at. I think we're going to go and win 70 games this season. Like,
right.
He's not going to go up there. No, correct. And that's why I don't think he's not going to suffice for the people that are wanting to hear something from him that's going to be, okay, I'm at ease with the Suns, because he said he expects to win 64 games this year. Like, it's not going to be there. It's going to be the work that's being done when the cameras are off, for him in particular.
Well, I think what he's going to say is like, I had massive respect for KD and for Beal, and obviously things didn't work out, but I'm excited for the direction that the franchise is in, and somebody's going to ask him, and I know somebody's going to ask him, because media day goes beyond just the normal, people that are there. There are some national people. There are some people at outlets that, don't have the resources to send somebody to every game. And a lot of times you get maybe some more pointed questions in these settings. And I think a pointed question is going to be like, how do you feel being the number one, right? How do you feel? Do you feel like this is your team again? I don't think he's going to go out there and be like, cocky and disingenuous and, overconfident. But it is going to be interesting to see, how does he answer that? What is he going to say? Because I also don't see him as somebody who like shies away from claiming things. No. He either claiming responsibility when things are going bad or, praising when things go good. It's just how he does it. He's not like me where I'm all out there. He's more just calm and self-centered. And
it's not going to be the clickbait quotable things that people are going to want to throw all over, graphics and stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
No, I mean, that will probably happen. I love him for this, but that's totally gonna happen during Matt Ishbia's press conference, where he's gonna say like what he quote tweeted about the pundits and everything like that. So we'll get into that in a second. Obviously, you go from Devin Booker. That's gonna be the number one storyline. Number two is going to be Jaylen Green, and that's gonna be this entire season. It's been this entire off season since the moment that he was traded here. Hell, even before that, Jaylen Green has been a massive talking point. Is Jaylen Green willing to change and tweak his game in a new situation? I wouldn't be shocked if somebody asks him how he's going to change his game, but I also think this is something that's going to get brought up to Jordan Ott as well. As how do you see how Jaylen was used in Houston, and are you looking to tweak or change that to maximize what you can get out of him? I do think this will come up a couple of times, even maybe to Book on how are you going to play with Jaylen Green, or Dylan Brooks on how do you see the situation being different. I think there's going to be a lot of questions about Jaylen.
Yeah, there will be, and there will be multiple iterations of it. It's going to be interesting to hear the conversations, or at least what they allow for us to become privy to about the conversations being had behind closed doors. Because, I mean, as Nigel Hayes-Davis has mentioned, Jordan Ott is someone who has that basketball autism. He has that it about him where he's thinking outside the box and always thinking at a rapid cadence. You might not finish your answer because he's on to another question that's going to lead to something clicking and you all are on the same page. You better believe he's had multiple conversations with Jaylen Green about usage, about the desired style of play and how that's going to benefit him. So long as he does X, Y, Z, and ABC and makes that part of his new kind of crop of habits, those are going to be the things that are likely going to be what we see probably in the first preseason game and going forward throughout the rest of the season.
It might take some time because
for sure,
at the end of the day, like a player is who they are, right? You can tweak, you can adjust, but it's very rare that somebody completely changes their game. Yeah, you can look at like Brook Lopez, right? He becomes a 3-point shooter from a post-up guy. Okay, that's like a really big change of game.
It's like his whole career to get there.
Blake Griffin really evolved and changed his game. Anthony Edwards is maybe a younger guard that you can look at and say like, hey, this past season you really bought into shooting threes, and maybe that's a blueprint that Jaylen Green can look at. I'm interested to hear from Jaylen's mouth. Booker. Yeah, Devin Booker. He's changed his game a ton. I'm interested to hear from Jaylen's mouth. Like, hey, like, what do you feel like you still have to improve on and to prove to people? Because it's like, I think Jaylen Green looks at himself as like, I'm one of the best players in the NBA. But if you look at the results, and especially you look at the fact that, a team that drafted you so high, traded you after you were the number one scoring option on the 2 seed, and you had a bad playoffs, like, what did you take away from that season is like, okay, how can I improve going into this next one? I think it's going to be fascinating. I think a lot of people are going to be asked about him. And at the end of the day, I think a lot of good things will be said. I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh yeah, well, we're not trying to improve Jaylen's whatever, right? Or Jaylen's going to say like, oh, I'm fine being who I am. Nobody's going to say that. At the end of the day, this more than maybe anything is going to be a, what do you do when you're actually on the court thing? Like, we could take away some stuff from this media day, but when it comes to Jaylen Green, a lot of it's going to have to be eye test based when you get to the actual games. Yeah,
and there's going to be some push and pull. Skill development is not something that's just linear point A to point B and it happens within a couple of weeks or months. That's something that's tried, tested, and has to become true based off of undoing of habits, relearning of grassroots habits, and obviously even more so for Jaylen Green, being in a new context, buying in.
Yeah.
And I think that's where all of the days prior to when we have a chance to speak with everybody on Wednesday matter. If they're not making those steps and taking those conversations to heart prior to then, you're behind schedule already. And I imagine they're well ahead of schedule because there's a little bit of urgency that I'm feeling from everybody with the franchise right now. Absolutely.
Well, and that leads us to, it's like an urgency, or is it just that there's a new culture, right? Not urgency to like turn this into a win now situation like they did with KD and Bradley Beal, but an urgency to get back on the right track. And I think that we can loop this one in with the next one as well. The storyline is going to be there's a new culture, and also there's a youth movement in Phoenix, because you'll hear the alignment word probably a lot tomorrow, right? And the Suns are going from having one of the oldest teams to one of the younger teams in the NBA. Like Royce O'Neal's the oldest guy on this team. Then it's like Nigel, Book, Grayson Allen, Dylan Brooks, right? Like these are your vets on the team. You got your rookies, you got your second-year players. Mark Williams is still on the younger side. Nick Richards is still on the younger side. You got athleticism, length, hustle, first-year head coach. There's going to be a lot of talk about a new culture in Phoenix, playing hard-nosed, gritty basketball, and the youth movement being the avenue that they can do that.
It is. So for full context, last season I think the Suns were top 5, top 4, top 3 in average age. They were 28.3 was the average age. They also
aged me as well quite a bit.
It was like them and the Clippers specifically that I remember were up there as far as
the Clippers went up and Suns went down.
Clippers went up, Suns went down. Suns went down from the 28.3 of last season to 25.2 for an age average. Only 3, but it's a significant difference when you look at the rest of the NBA. Obviously, what the roster template was last season and what they're working with this year, that's a steep drop off in the right direction, and that should allow for you to, one, be able to kind of mold and shift things in ways that maybe last season's veteran-heavy team didn't, because vets are sometimes a little bit more stuck in their ways, and that's not even a derogatory way. You've seen success playing a certain type of way. You're going to have a little bit of resistance to shift that because you know what your template, what your route for success is individually. Now, it's up to a coach to take what you do individually well, put that in tandem with the system that plays off of the principles they want to play with, but also is complementary to the other players on the roster, who some of them are players like Kevin Durant who don't need to shift much because they're already all-time greats. You don't want to shift someone that does so many things great already. No different for Devin Booker, no different for, to some extent, Bradley Beal. So It's a little different this year. Players will be more moldable because of that. And I think they'll be also giving a little bit more grace to Jordan Knott, considering he's a new coach that has expectations, but also has the proof of concept to where when you see players buy into his principles, you see the results in the games that they got, which for the Cavaliers last year was in the first round series, our all-time great offensive rating.
Yeah.
That's not something you just stumble into.
No, it's not. And that brings us to our next storyline, which is Jordan Knott is a sicko. This is something that obviously we knew when I talked to Kenny Atkinson out at Summer League, or when we had Nigel Hayes Davis in the studio a few weeks ago. This guy really, like, it sounds so stupid. This guy really loves basketball, man. And this guy's obsessed with it.
Yeah, it's obsession. It's past love.
And when you say, like, allow him the grace, I don't. It's not like allowing him grace because he's a first year head coach. I think it's when you can sit with somebody and you can understand that it's like, okay, wherever you're coming from, whatever you're saying, I know what this is rooted in.
There's preparation, and
right.
Respect comes from that.
I might not agree with what you have to say right now, but I'm going to hear you out. And I'm sure a lot of these players, Book, Green, Brooks, Ryan, Oso, they're going to be asked, like, hey, what was your first impression of Jordan Knott? How has it been getting some runs in with Jordan Knott? Do you have any Jordan Knott stories? Because it was like Nigel is like, he's barely been in the States for a long time. And he's like, yeah, I already have a story about Jordan Knott coming to me and saying, oh, yeah, Nigel, we got to do this, that. How do we blitz Devin Booker? Oh, you played a team overseas. When and where? We're going to get a lot of those stories. And I think as more of the layers get peeled back on Jordan Knott, and this is true with me as well, I think the overall vibe about his hiring becomes better and better.
I say this with great endearment. I say that there's going to be grace given for him because you understand, again, the preparation part of it. If I'm not going to use names, but if another coach comes to you and asks you to do certain things,
who could you be talking about?
And you don't trust the depths of the preparation that's coming from why they're coming to you with said conversation, it's not gonna resonate with the person that you're hoping to kind of shift to do something a little different, to do something more. Versus if it came, it's the messenger piece. Right message, wrong messenger can get convoluted in conversation. Because people know what Jordan Knott's prerequisites are, and he's going to continue to show that to the point where you have to trust it because he's going to beat you to the gym every day. And he's probably going to be up at 3 a.m, like Nigel mentioned, watching film, but probably not even his team or a team they're going up against, but some other team, maybe even in Europe or somewhere else. There's a certain level of reverence and respect that comes with the direction and guidance that's coming from that particular person. Because of that, the grace being given is going to be because you don't want to put an artist in a box. You don't want to put Kendrick Lamar in a box. You don't want to put J. Cole in a box. You want to give them
It'd be a lot easier to put Kendrick in a box than J. Cole.
Yes, well, obviously. You want to give them the artistic freedom to have free reign to do whatever it is they need to do to get not just success, but the absolute most that you possibly can out of every single day. Yeah. And because of that and the prerequisites that he's coming to a conversation with, there's going to be a level of trust and buy-in that he's generated.
Oh, who could you be talking about when you mentioned it's the messenger, not just the message?
Go back and watch last season.
Really? Was there bad coaching last season?
Wasn't good coaching.
Really? I must have missed that.
Yeah, no.
Huh. I'll have to go back and check. I thought everything was fine. Continuing to focus forward. Nice. We'll talk about Ryan Dunn and Oso Godaro. We'll talk about Grayson Allen. We'll talk about Mark Williams, Kaman Malawach, leadership, and so much more. But we are going to do it after our first break. Sometimes life can get hard, sometimes life can get difficult, and you just need to get away. But full-on vacations are expensive, sometimes they're full-on inconvenient. That's why going to Gila River Resorts and Casinos for a nice little staycation is such a wonderful option, an option that I have chosen as well. Now, my choice is always Gila, it's always Gila, but it's Wild Horse Pass. simply because we have all of our vets there. Don't laugh at me. I stumble on my words sometimes. Even Michael Jordan missed a shot. But they also have Lone Butte, Vicuiva, Santan Mountain. That was so stupid. I'm sorry. It's the best experience that the Valley has to offer. Whether it's their AAA 4-diamond resorts with relaxation taking charge or with unbeatable views, whether it's upscale or approachable dining, maybe it's the live table games, the slots, the sports book. It's just everything at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you. At Gila River Resorts and Casinos, visit playatgila.com for more details. Listen, some universal truths. Michael Jordan sometimes missed shots, and you need a checking account. Those are the two things that are undeniable truths in this world. So if you have a checking account, why not get a checking account that works for you? Not only at Mountain America Credit Union can you get the My Style checking account, which gives you perks like restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events, and so much more. But they also are the exclusive home of the Suns card and the official credit union of your Phoenix Suns. You can get it as that My Style debit card, or you can get it as a credit card and no annual fee one with low rate cashback or rewards card options. Mountain America is here to guide you forward on your financial journey, and you can apply for the debit, the credit card, the Suns card, whatever you want at any Arizona branch. Visit macu.com/Suns to learn more. Insured by NCUA. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Loans are on approved credit. Make My Style your lifestyle with the exclusive home of the Phoenix Suns as far as credit union goes. It's Mountain America Credit Union. I just know the chat's losing their mind over me saying that. I absolutely know that they are roasting me to oblivion. But while you're roasting me, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, 5-star reviews on audio, become a member today, spam some emojis in chat, get a special badge next to your name. Will there be a special year from Ryan Dunn, year 2, obviously going into last season? Expectations were relatively low for the Virginia forward, and now I feel like that is completely flipped. We've seen all the work that he's been doing. We saw him play well at Summer League. I think a lot of people are going to be asking and talking about Ryan Dunn tomorrow.
Absolutely, because he's a player that's shown to have the potential and be one that puts the work in to see growth and see development and skill and the steps being taken in that in real time, from the way that the game is being processed to the cadence of decisions being made, which typically speaks to understanding and the growth and evolution in that. It should be a season of great growth from Ryan Dunn. And I think it starts from the end of last season to Summer League to training camp. It's not a gap in between those. I think it's very intentional with those steps. Needless to say, he's been in the gym.
Yeah.
We could tell he's been in the gym from everything that you all were able to grab from Summer League and from accounts of his teammates as well, even more so, and the coaching staff even more. But now, instead of working with a blank slate, now it's coming with expectations.
Yeah.
And that's where the shift takes place, because the expectations are only going to grow the more that your talent suggests it. Some people look at expectations as a challenge. Some people accept it as part of the reality of when you're good at something.
Yeah.
And Ryan is someone I imagine is the latter than the former.
I can imagine that it was also frustrating for Ryan because he has these internal expectations on himself.
Sure.
To be put in such a bad position last year. And he'll never talk about it. He'll never admit it. Like, and it was the same thing like last year when he was asked about his playing time or whatever. He's not the type of guy to go out there and complain, and that's great on him. But like, let's all be honest here. Let's put ourselves in Ryan Dunn's situation. He's a smart basketball player. He knows that what he brought to the team was very needed, and he knows that he was getting pushed around in the rotations and treated unfairly. Like, it's just a fact. And I'm sure that Jordan Ott has gone up to him and been like, yeah, it's not going to happen this year. His second year leap is very, very, very important to this team, shocking and surprising people. And it'll be interesting to hear from his own mouth what his expectations are from him, how his three-point shot feels. Can he improve on not fouling? I think that's maybe one of the bigger things is like, how do you work on that in the offseason? Maybe that's a question that I'll ask. How do you work on being a primary defender for guys like Luka and Shea, but not be able to go up against Luka and Shea and whatnot, during the offseason? Like, how do you train that? I think all of that's going to be really, really interesting. obviously, when you talk about Ryan Dunn, you also talk about his fellow gaucho, and that is Oso Ighodaro. One thing that really stood out to me at Summer League was he looked bigger. ESPN has him listed at 7 foot tall. He's not 7 foot tall, but he did get a lot more muscular. And if he's going to slide into that 5 spot, he's going to need to be there. I want to loop that one in with our next two ones as well, which is Grayson Allen's weight, which I think people are going to be obsessing over, and then Muscle Watch. Who looks the most different? Because I think Ryan and Oso are the two clear-cut choices on who's going to look the most different for Muscle Watch. Last year, Royce O'Neal looked a lot skinnier. Grayson Allen looked a lot bigger. It's maybe not a fun storyline, but like it's going to be a storyline.
I'm not a Muscle Watch, Body Watch. I'm not one of those peeps. It can be acknowledged mentally, but you're not going to hear me coming on. Yeah, I'm not. No, we're
opening up the show on Wednesday talking about who looked the most buff.
Make sure we got that one shot ready, because
I'm gonna do this.
I'm not participating. I'm gonna lean over more too. What you mean? No, I'm not participating. But naturally, yes, of course it is. It's something that's, you're saying what you're seeing, and some people will spend more time on the waist than they do on the court for specific reasons. Maybe a coach is demanding them to play up a little bit, or maybe a coach is asking them to play down. Maybe some players want to be a little more versatile, if you will, and that might need for their body to be a little bit more light on their toes and things like that. So those things matter; they're relevant. It's just not my cup of tea and things I like to dip into too much.
Who do you think looks the most different? Bigger, smaller. I got two guys that come to mind.
I would say
this is actually all that I think about. I'm like the exact opposite of Steven. It matters way more than basketball.
It's between Oso and probably Ryan, I'm imagining.
I think Jaylen Green.
Yeah.
I think Jaylen Green's gonna put on a little muscle in the offseason. And I think Kaman Malawach is gonna put on a little muscle. I know he's been in the gym. Enough of that.
That was all I had to say. You took it further.
Yeah,
than I
I'll do a supplemental trending pod. Maybe I'll just do a whole hour-long live show on.
He'll be alone on that one, guys.
Hashtag PHNX Suns Muscle Watch, baby.
Hashtag Dolo, because I'm not participating in that. Go crazy though. I'll support with the like.
All right. Speaking of supporting and being in better situations, another storyline to watch. Number 10. Mark Williams finally playing in a better situation. Then he's on the Charlotte Hornets, and you can loop that in with the next one as well, which is Mark Williams finally had a healthy offseason. We're going to hear a lot of questions to him about how his body is feeling and about how he's feeling going from Charlotte to Phoenix, like every single player on that roster has seemed to do the last year and a half.
Facts. That's going to be very relevant in it. I think I'm very curious, past all of that, what his mental approach to this season is going to be, because Mark Williams is a player with great potential. He has 20 and 12 with 2 to 3 block potential in his game, 2 assists with that as well. How quickly does he reach that? Is he healthy enough to sustain that? And what does it look like for him in a new context? Because it takes a while for players to unlearn habits that you learn from being in a losing environment,
right,
to then unlearn those habits that you're just naturally around and a part of, and then building off of habits that are conducive to a winning environment. There's a shift there that has to take place, and it's arduous. It's not going to be fly by night. I'm very curious where his mind is on that. Having Steve Clifford around, someone that's gotten more usage out of him than other coaches have, I think matters as well.
Yeah, that's the Charlotte Hornets connection, right? Also, Charlotte was not a good situation because
there were decent parts of it, but it was not a good.
But the thing is, and this pains me to say because he big timed me at Summer League, that asshole. But Charles Lee's a good coach. Like this is not like, oh man, this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Yep.
Charlotte's going to be fine in a couple of years, and they have a good direction, and I think Charles Lee is a good coach, but on the court, he was not put in the best situation, and hopefully, maybe Mark Williams is the type of guy that you'll be on hashtag Muscle Watch, right? And how are you going to look? Are you looking skinnier? Are you looking bigger? Because that's something that's fluctuated for him. And just like, yeah, you said mentally, because when you guys talked to James Plowright, earlier in the offseason, one of the things that Mark was saying going into last year was like, I'm not an injury-prone player. That can get into somebody's head.
Yep.
And hopefully being healthy and having a healthy offseason is something that kind of helps him move forward from that, because he was, one of two really big additions at the 5 spot for the Suns. Obviously, the other one is somebody who presumably is less ready to play this year in the number 10 overall pick, Kaman Malawach. But can he be ready to play? How much is he ready to contribute? This is a question that's probably going to be going to Jordan Ott first and foremost. And then I think there's going to be a couple guys going to be asked, like, what have you seen from Kaman? Have you seen this growth? And asking Kaman himself, following your summer league performance, do you feel like you are ready to play in the NBA?
Yeah. I feel like, for one, he's more prepared because the summer league is a gap bridge between collegiate level and the professional level. There's a lot to learn from his summer league showing, and I feel like I tried to detail as much of that without painting a negative picture about the young man, because he's very, 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 very young, and we're not going to
be a freshman in college right now.
Correct. And what we're not going to do, at least in our conversations, are cast aspersions on as someone whose potential suggests that they could be something unlike anything we've seen before to come through the league and get lost in what he is in the moment. That's not what we're going to do. We can critique the moment with the eye for suggesting he needs to be here so he can get there, and his skill development can get him where we ultimately think he can be to. But he's a piece that has work to do. And that's not surprising for any young player, especially of his basketball background, who is significantly less in terms of years played. That's not surprising. Now it's just about how much does he embrace the little parts of the game to where maybe this first season he's focusing specifically on, let's just say, rebounding and setting screens. And that allowed for him to then catapult from that to doing a little bit more with the ball in his hands as he gets stronger. Doing a little bit more on offense as he understands how to slow the game down and think it through a little bit more mentally. Those things matter, but it has to come from a foundation, because without the foundation, for a player that's very talented, there's no way to kind of corral those things.
Yeah, ready to play doesn't mean ready to start or ready to play 30 minutes a game. Just can you be on the court? And I think he can, and I think he will get the opportunity to do that. The next thing that we're talking about, I paired next to Kaman specifically, because one of the things that we loved about Kaman at Summer League and that we heard from all of his teammates is, like, this is a very vocal player. This is a leader despite the age. Who is the leader of this team? Annoying or not, is going to be at least a storyline that people wonder and think about. I don't know how much this is going to be asked about. Again, when I mention some of these national outlets or people who aren't in the building every day, they are more prone to ask a question like this. Are you ready to be a leader, Devin Booker? Dillon Brooks, do you feel like a leader on this team? Matt, Jordan, Brian, who do you guys feel is a leader? Like, that's maybe the type of question to come from, somebody of that. And it's not a bad question. It's just like, those aren't the types of questions that are usually asked by people that are in the building every day. Who is the leader of this team will at least be something that people talk about. And maybe a leader emerges from how they speak. Maybe it's Nigel Hayes-Davis. Maybe it's Dillon Brooks. Maybe it's Devin Booker. Maybe Jaylen Green, right? Like, somebody I think is going to have such a good, performance at their press conference that fans are going to walk away saying that guy's a leader on the team.
So, a couple of questions for you.
Hit me.
Who's the leader for the Boston Celtics at the peak of their recent successes?
Mazzulla.
Was he? It's a rhetorical question.
I mean, I multiple leaders, right? They got multiple leaders. I think Mazzulla is so psychotic and so out there and so vocal, and probably Drew when he was on there as a vet as well. But I would say if I had to pick one guy who sets the tone and the culture, which I think is a leader, I would say it's Joe.
I think you answered it where I was going when you said multiple, because the best teams have multiple leaders. It's not a weight that one carries. It's not even a weight that 2 or 3 carry. That's how you break up the mundaneness of a regular season that comes with the volatility that might potentially be there for the Suns. If things shift one direction, it might not get to where they want it to be. If you have multiple leaders that show up every day and tend to that specific style of leadership that's unique to them, those are the best teams, because that weight is not being carried by one person. And especially if it's coming from someone like Nigel Hayes-Davis, who I imagine is going to carve out his own lane of leadership respective to this team. Those are the best teams. Look at those Spurs teams. You can't identify one specific guy because everybody brought something to the table.
Yeah. You know, I got like PTSD flashbacks to the, I can't remember if it was last season or the season before, when everybody was asking players who's the leader on the team, who should be the leader on the team. And Katie said, oh, it's the head coach. And like looking back on that now, it's like, kind of, it just should be everybody. You shouldn't just only have your head coach be a leader. Your head coach should be a leader, but they shouldn't be the only leader. Anyway, that's just where my brain went.
The best built teams have multiple leaders. Look at the Golden State Warriors.
It's true.
The golden standard for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
The head coach is one. Draymond Green is one. Iguodala was one. Steph Curry was one. Klay Thompson.
Maybe we can not take from the school of Draymond Green leadership. Maybe.
I mean,
I don't want Nigel to punch Colin. You know,
I mean, there's that part of it, but there's also
for sure. Oh, I know. Here's look, wave the Michigan State flag. Let the Michigan State flag fly.
You said it. Go ahead. You got it.
I think you got it. But does Colin Gillespie have it as the only point guard on the roster? Speaking of point guards, what about Point Green? Who's the vet on this team? And overall, what about their identity and everything of that nature? We're going to get into the rest of our biggest storylines heading into tomorrow's Phoenix Suns Media Day. We're going to do it on this pre-recorded edition of PHNX Suns right after this break. Long day tomorrow. A lot of content for you to consume. If you just want to kick back, relax, and let the good times roll, indulge in some pure edibles. Because not only do they make you feel good, they taste really good as well, but they're not just dumped in a big vat of sugar and taste like weed-flavored sugar. No, they actually taste like candy because it's a full-fledged candy company. Pure offers gummies, kicks, which is their version of Starburst, chews, and hard candies alike. And the effects are clearly listed on each tin so you know exactly what to expect, combining CBN, CBG, CBD with marijuana-derived THC to deliver you exactly the experience that you want, because they are also designed to be ripped or bit in half. Start slow, go low, and then work your way up, because the worst thing that you could do with edibles is take too much and then ruin your experience overall. Whether you want to be relaxed, uplifted, balanced, sleepy, Pure Edibles has an effect for you. And they've just collabed with Mother Road if you want to sip a new Tower Station IPA all-in-one that also gets you a little high. Go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of the over 130 dispensaries across Arizona. Call me Mr. Shade. It's just a new nickname of mine that I've given myself, and you know what? I embrace it. Because All Pro Shade Concepts is the epitome of shade, the epitome of extending your outdoor living space, and the epitome of great service, great people, and being reliable. I'm talking working over 20 years in the Valley, started making window shades by hand for friends and family in Phoenix, now one of the largest installers for patio roll-down shades and motorized awnings in the Valley. I'm talking voted one by Ranking Arizona for patio shades in 2024, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. But what are they reviewing? Well, like I mentioned, roll down patio shades that you can customize with different fabrics and colors and keep your patio up to 20 degrees cooler with everything that you need, whether it's motorized or whether it is manual. Call 623-204-1476 or visit allproshadeconcepts.com right now to schedule your free estimate. Shout out everybody in the chat joining us for this pre-recorded edition of PHNX Suns. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll be back live tomorrow post Media Day. We'll keep you up to date on what time that show is going to be. There's a chance that it is a little bit later depending on how long Media Day does go. So keep it tuned to PHNX Suns on socials and to our diehard Discord, and we will let you know when that show will go live. Plus the stream will be made earlier in the day so that you can also plan your day around it. Speaking of planning, the Phoenix Suns did not plan on having multiple point guards on the roster this year like they did last year with Tyus Jones and Monte Morris. Colin Gillespie is the only point guard on the roster. I do think that's going to come up tomorrow, Steven.
It will. Do you think anybody's asking Colin specifically that?
I think they're asking about. I think they're going to ask at least Gregory or Ott. I think they're going to ask him, like, how do you feel about, your position on the team? I guess a way that I would phrase the question, which maybe I will, is last year when you were signed on a two-way deal, Monte Morris and Ty Jones were on this roster. Plus, we know that Devin Booker could play point guard. Bradley Beal is a ball-dominant guard, and Kevin Durant's going to have the ball in his hands. Going into this year, it feels like you're a lot higher in that hierarchy of ball handlers, and really the only true point guard is listed on the roster. Or how do you feel you've prepared and are ready for that situation? That's kind of how, not like a gotcha type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, the thing for me with Colin, this is why I didn't really kind of understand the like where it was coming from, was he's a point guard, but he doesn't have to have the ball in his hands to be effective. And I feel like he showed that last season more than anything. The reason why the lineups at the end of the season worked so well when he was on the court with Kevin Durant and or one of Devin Booker, if not both of Booker and Beal, was because he shoots the crap out the ball.
Yeah.
Off the ball especially. The catch and shoot threes were very consistent. In tandem with that, though, he's a player that can put the ball on the deck, initiate an offense at times. He can just do a lot of different things, and I think that's something to be leaned into. In the modern NBA, there's not many traditional point guards. There's two? There are two in
Tyrese.
there's two in the superstar realm.
Yeah, Tyrese.
Outside of
Trey.
those two, there's maybe like 4 or 5 others that you can point at across the rest of the NBA that are not superstars that you might say, that guy's a traditional point guard. It's a dying breed.
You know who I miss?
I miss Chris Paul.
Well, I know you do, dude. I know you do.
Oh, you asked the question?
I miss Phoenix Suns legend Rajon Rondo. I know he never played with the team. But man, bro, Rondo was one of my favorite players to watch. That dude was something else. So much fun in 2K too, back when 2K was worth it.
I like my point guards to be able to shoot the ball still, but
he had his moments.
I like my point guards to get... Okay, so I'll rephrase it. I like my point guards to at least have the threat of their shot getting a reaction out of a defense in tandem with their great playmaking.
Listen, man, they don't make him like Rajon Rondo anymore. Also, all-time name.
Facts.
Rajon Rondo?
Facts. It's the mentality part, though, for sure, more than anything.
I thought you would have loved
He's out there playing. I love Rondo.
It doesn't seem like it.
I'm just
kind of seem like you hate him, honestly.
I'm just saying I like...
Steven hates point guards. You didn't hear it from me.
Yeah.
Steven hates floor generals.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't hear it from me.
Anyways, yes, the mental approach is
you hate
everything. The mental approach is everything. And Colin has some of that to his game. He understands how to lead an offense. He can be at the helm of things to not allow for Devin Booker and Jaylen Green to always have to come and set the table for the offense and then set the advantage at points of attack. He can allow for them to do it off of dynamic touches, and I think that's very, very important for both of those two players this season.
I think one of the most impressive things about Colin's season last year was he thrived in every different role that he was put in, whether it was superstar in the G League, whether it was, garbage time minutes off the bench, whether it was, good minutes off the bench, then to spot starting, playing off ball, playing on ball, being your pask on defense. Like, I feel like not really many other people on the team got put in as many different situations as Colin Gillespie did last year on so many different levels. It makes you feel good about how much of a chameleon he could be in the backcourt, which kind of takes us to the next point about point guards, which is this is certainly going to come up. Obviously, John Gambadoro reporting right after the trade that the Suns plan on Jaylen Green to be the point guard. You bet your ass somebody's going to ask Jordan Ott who is going to be the point guard on this team, and what does that mean? Is it point Book? Is it point Green? Or really, what is the philosophy around your two lead guards?
Yeah, and I think the answer is going to be that multiple players can bring the ball up the floor. Because if Devin Booker's being pressured 90 feet, if Jaylen Green's pickup points are 94 feet, do you want those guys working against the shot clock to where you're barely getting across it with 16 seconds, and then you have 15 and a half seconds to go and get into your offense and try to create a single advantage? Do you want to work against an uphill battle, or do you want to have as much time in the shot clock in the half court for your offense and the top-tier talents that you do have to have multiple opportunities to create the best shot possible? Look at the Indiana Pacers last season. How many times later in the playoffs did we see Tyrese Halliburton bringing the ball up the floor?
A lot less.
A significantly
a big
less.
part of their offense was Tyrese gets the ball. and he throws it ahead to somebody.
That or, okay, the opposing team just scored. Oh, wait, that's Andrew Nemhart that's bringing the ball to the court. Oh, wait, that's TJ McConnell bringing the ball to the court, and Tyrese Halliburton starting in the deep corner. Now he's setting a screen for somebody, and they're just adaptable. I think that word is going to be operative for the Suns all season long, is being adaptable.
Yeah. They have to be. They don't have a choice. They're not talented enough to not be adaptable.
Correct. And to that point, because you don't have the top end talent to kind of suppress teams or move them a little differently, you want to put your top tier pieces in the best position possible. I don't think it's them bringing the ball up the court for 90% of the possessions. It's going to be some of Oso doing it. It's going to be some of Dylan Brooks doing it. It's going to be some of these other guys that are capable of doing it, to put those two players in the best position to be successful, and therefore the team after that.
Yeah, 100% agree. It'll be interesting, and again, one of those things that you'll have to see eye test. You could say something now, and then how do you actually go out and play? What's the philosophy like?
Yeah, because we heard a lot about pace last season, and where did the Suns finish in pace last season? Not where their media day suggestions said they wanted to be. That's a team that lacked identity.
A lot that we thought was going on in media day that didn't end up working out.
For sure. I'm not trying to rehash the old, but this is what we're talking about right now.
I'm so glad that we're not running it back, dude. Oh, man. One exciting thing that I really am looking forward to on Media Day is Nigel Hayes-Davis makes his first impression. Now, not technically his first impression. His first impression was on this show. But I think for a lot of people, this is going to be the first time that they hear him speak in length. And one thing that I know we all walked away from that conversation with Nigel feeling was that was an impressive human being beyond just an impressive basketball mind.
Yep, for sure. And those are the pieces, again, when you talk about wanting to turn corners with your culture, you have to do so with intentionality. That's why I allowed them for the Colin Gillespie signing in the ways in which I did. That speaks to what they want to see, and them giving that more attention than the things that they maybe don't want to see as much of. Nigel Hayes-Davis is another example of that.
It's gonna be fun. He's gonna say something off the wall. He's going to. He's
going to let people know, like, getting a better idea of who he is.
He's a very candid guy, right? Like when we asked him about, has he talked basketball with any of his teammates? He's like, I went up to Book, and I'm like, all right, big time. Like that, that's a new guy, that's a new player on the team that he didn't know us when he was saying that, but like he was cool, calm, collected, and candid, right? The 4 C's. Like he really is an interesting person, an interesting player, and it's going to be fun to hear some people's reactions to hearing him in depth for the first time. If you missed that episode, you can go check that out on this channel. Next one, speaking of vets and older guys, Royce O'Neal is the vet on this team. I don't know how much is going to be talked about except for with Royce, but how is he embracing being that guy? Probably for the first time in his career, he is truly the vet.
Yeah, it's definitely him and Devin Booker.
Sure.
But yeah, I think Royce is the quote unquote oldest, right?
Yeah, he's the oldest on the roster.
Yeah, so to be the true OG,
he's like 31.
To be right, so right, the true OG on the roster.
Retirement age in the NBA these days.
It's gonna be interesting to see his responses to those type of questions. But with that is gonna come maybe the younger players leaning into him a little bit more. Yeah. I imagine someone like Rasheer Fleming can learn significant just about being a professional, showing up on a day-to-day basis, and how to do that. How to do that in respect to what a coach wants from you, but also in respect to the skill development and the personal goals that you have. Yeah. I imagine Royce is someone that's very personable and can be leaned into for those things.
Yeah, I mean, he's very personable. I think he's always been a good teammate and a good guy to be around. He's a connector on the court. He's not a star player by any means, but he's had a long NBA career now. It's been a while since those Utah Jazz days for Royce O'Neal, and he's been a part of a lot of really, really good winning teams. And I think there's a lot that he can pass down to guys, because he's also somebody who's been undersized but played the 4, right? He's been a streaky shooter. He's been through the lows. He's been through the highs. He's had to evolve his game. He changed his diet. One of the funny takeaways from Media Day last year was that he cut candy out of his diet, right? And he slimmed down a little bit. So I think there's a lot that he can teach this next generation of Suns players. And he's a very valuable piece, even though he is still a trade piece for this team, just realistically looking at their situation. Doesn't mean that he doesn't bring value to the franchise while he is here.
Correct. It says a lot for multiple teams across this span of time that he's been in the league to still want him in the ways in which they desire him, even as a role player.
Yeah.
It's not easy to be that desired as a role player, and he has a couple of the its about him for that.
Absolutely. One of the its the Phoenix Suns hope to have is that grit, the knack for rebounding the ball. I guarantee you, Matt Ishbia, Brian Gregory, Jordan Ott, and all the players at some point will talk about being physical and rebounding, because that was a huge emphasis when the new front office and regime took over and hired Jordan Ott.
Yeah, you're going to hear me talk a whole lot about the margins this season. Unscripted points, second chance points, points off turnovers, offensive rebounds, points in transition. Those unscripted points that come from a multiple effort. Someone going that extra length to get that angle or to hit the outside shoulder of somebody to bump them off their spot and then get an extra possession for the Suns. And then Devin Booker goes and knocks down a three or gets to the free throw line. Somebody going to dive for that 50-50 ball or get that deflection and make that extra.
Die, not dive. I was like, hey, man, if anybody's going to do it, it's probably Ryan Dunn. No, honestly, it's probably Dillon Brooks. He will die for the loose ball.
Well, they're going to be fighting over some loose balls, and I imagine that's exactly what Jordan Ott wants to see, especially if those are your 3 and your 4 in the starting lineup, your tone-setting lineup, and your lineup that you go to in the clutch. The multiple efforts and those margins are going to be something that they tout as highly as anything for the team going forward.
Yeah, I think this is going to be well done is better than well said, to quote a better, or not a better, a different Suns head coach from the past days. That was a better team in the last couple of years. We'll see, but I would like to hear maybe some of the mentality of like how we are going to change that identity as a team. Speaking of, identities and team and whatnot, the term reload, not rebuild, has started to gain some traction over this summer. I think it's going to be very, very clear in the messaging that this is not a team that is focusing on rebuilding. Well, they don't have their own pick, but also like, despite being young, they want to win games, and they want to win games this year.
I mean, that I always speak to choice of words. That usually gives a peek into somebody's mindset and approach. I think it's coming from the top because Matt Ishbia is not interested in a rebuild. And because he's not interested in a rebuild, Devin Booker is also not interested in a rebuild, I imagine. There's a certain type of approach. If you're coming to work and you're thinking, okay, we're in a rebuild, so it's not going to come with the same type of urgency that I mentioned early in the pod. If you speak retool, you're trying to recourse things in a direction that you desire for it to be, the route in which and the way in which you desire for it to be. That's a different approach to, we're not in the business of trying to win games. We're trying to build for our future only. The Suns are trying to build for their future and win games. And they feel like they can kind of blend both of those things and find success this season.
Yeah, and that's their goal, is that they shock some people, they're pesky, and they have something to build on going into next year, a reload, not a rebuild. That kind of also ties into the next point, which is everybody's downing them. I guarantee you somebody's going to bring up the fact that, they're getting picked last in their over-under predictions. And I don't necessarily think we're going to get some incendiary responses on this, but I do think this is going to be something that's brought up maybe from some more of the national outlets about expectations for this team going into this year compared to the last couple.
So when I mentioned the names Jordan Ott, Devin Booker, Dillon Brooks, Ryan Dunn, Colin Gillespie, Grayson Allen, what's like one of the common denominators with all of those guys?
They play for the Phoenix Suns.
Absolutely, for sure. No, for sure.
They've all been doubted in their careers.
They've been doubted, but they all have, I guess, akin to what you're saying, have a chip on their shoulders.
Yeah.
That's only going to just add to that. And I imagine they find ways conducive to winning and sustaining at a winning level to kind of flip that into a positive for their team.
I would also say a commonality is that they're all smart basketball players. I know, Jaylen Green and Dillon Brooks, I think their IQ gets really hated on.
I mean, to be a scorer at the level of Jaylen Green, you have to have a certain type of IQ.
To be a defender at the level of Dillon Brooks, you have to have a certain level of IQ.
And I think those things get lost in translation sometimes, for sure.
It doesn't mean they're perfect. Dillon Brooks is going to throw up a BS
take some shots.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's just the Dillon Brooks experience.
That's part of it. If you want a shooter to get to that point, gotta take some shots.
Jay Crowder did the same thing. And
Exactly.
Jay Crowder was an incredibly smart basketball player.
Exactly.
I really hope that he could be like Jay, maybe a little bit better for this team. Jay was so good, man.
That starts in the locker room with Jay.
Yeah.
I imagine Dylan can harbor some of those same things.
That's Megan's favorite player ever.
I know. She told me the first time we met.
She's like, he's so all or nothing, and she just loved that.
You told me, she said we should talk about Jay Crowder more. Well, the other iteration of our pod was he's saying that.
Well, no, even when Jay Crowder wasn't on the team, she's like, should talk about Jay Crowder more. She's 99.
Shout out Boss Man 99. We appreciate role players. We appreciate the blue collar boys.
Dude, he was so good on this team.
And that's another example of multiple leaders. The 21 team, Chris Paul got all the attention. Jay Crowder was right there doing a lot of things in tandem with that.
And that's an example of, how important a role player can be. And Jay Crowder, the expectations for Jay Crowder
to start the season.
Yeah, no, the expectations for Jay Crowder were not high when he came to Phoenix. He ended up being the starting power forward on a championship level team and having some of the best plays in Phoenix Suns history, including the pass on the alley-oop, right? Like, people always look at the DA stuff, but like Jay Crowder delivered maybe one of the more difficult passes you've ever seen to get that alley-oop in play. I could talk about that forever.
And you talk about a Suns team that excelled in the clutch, who was often inbounding the ball in a lot of those situations.
Yeah,
it was Jay Crowder for multiple reasons.
And it just, the heart, the soul, the fire of the team, along with Chris Paul. It's like Dylan Brooks can really fall into that mold. This is something separate from kind of who is the leader on this team that we're talking about, even though it does kind of fall. If it's like a Venn diagram, there's certainly some overlap here. But when there's breaking down of leaders on the Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker is going to be the number one person that people talk about.
He will be. Franchise player, the best player, the player with the most championship level experience. Those things all come with expectations. You just recently got the contract extension to keep you here for a handful of more years. You got a head coach that they allowed you to have some say-so in. This is a lot of responsibility. This is a lot of opportunity for Devin Booker. And I imagine he's going to embrace it in a way unique from ways that he's embraced his approach to the team in years that preceded this season, just because this instance is unique from the ones that preceded it.
Yeah, it's unique in the leadership sense. It's unique in the sense that this is the first time in his true actual prime he is going to be given fully the reins and fully the keys. And how do you step into that? And listen, at the same time, let's look at this realistically here. Devin Booker was given the largest AAV contract extension, in NBA history recently. Like, he was given this investment from this franchise that not many players in the history of sports will get. And that means that it's on him to live up to his end of the bargain. That's more than just being a player. And that's something I certainly think that he can do, but there will be a focus on it.
For sure. I mean, it sounds like and looks like he's already been doing those things. We heard about him spending time with players in Vegas. We heard about Nigel Hayes-Davis being able to get a workout in with Devin Booker when he was with us 2 weeks ago. We've seen as recently as last week Devin Booker with Kobe Bryant in the gym.
Yeah.
Like, building up that sweat equity, not just talking, but putting in work together. That's where the bond really is built right there.
Absolutely. The bond needs to be built for this team. And I think a lot of it will come off of, do we have a common identity as a team, right? And I think there are a couple things that fall into that. I think shooting and spacing and how this team is set up to thrive in that way is going to be something that, at least when it comes to Jordan or even Brian Gregory and how he built the team, how do you survive in the NBA with this roster with your shooting and your spacing?
Yep, and in tandem with both of those things, we might have a Jordan I film session that came out the day before this pod did, potentially. So don't hold me to that. We're working on things, but that might help provide a little bit more context to what we're speaking to with this number 22 question or headline going into media day. Jordan I is going to have principles and habits established to where maybe their shooting as a team doesn't necessarily get the response from opponents that they might desire, but because of the ways in which they move within the half court with their spacing, it's going to open up pockets and opportunities for better shot quality for the person on the ball or the people spaced off it who are having help defenders trying to take driving lanes away.
And I think that plays into our second to last point here, as I remind everybody who's watching on TV that the party does always continue over at gophnx.com. That means that it's time for overtime. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Media Day in under 24 hours here in Phoenix. By the time that you're listening or watching this, of course, this is a pre-recorded edition as I am out on vacation, and we'll be back for Suns Media Day, and we will be back live tomorrow. So we apologize for not reading any super chats or regular chats. If you did send a super chat and you did not know this was pre-recorded, take a screenshot, send me a message at ERIKRUBY or at PHNX_Suns on Twitter or on Instagram, and we'll make sure to read it when we are back live later this week. I don't want you to spend your money and not get what you paid for. Unfortunately, I don't know what the future holds, so I cannot read your super chat from the past right now. I could try. $2.99 super chat from Be Calm See Clearly. My storyline is how much cake we're going to see at Media Day. Boom. I predicted a super chat. Could you imagine if I just nailed that? Could you imagine?
They would call us frauds because they would be like, this is not pre-recorded.
It definitely is pre-recorded. You could tell by the outfits. You will recognize the outfits.
Let's say we went and changed clothes.
I am a notorious outfit repeater. But
you don't save fits.
No, I mean, like, I'll switch it up for sure. But if I find a fit that I like, you're gonna see it like probably once a week. Listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right? Anyway,
one thing that ain't broke is Erik Ruby.
That's false. That's very false. I will say,
You said it now.
I think
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I think one of my greatest skills as a human is the ability to find clothing for cheap.
For sure.
And
no, that's a skill.
That's
a skill for sure.
I don't pay full price for any of my fits.
Do you and Megan thrift?
Oh yeah,
yeah. For
that's
sure.
That's like one of the number one things that we do.
A lot of thrift stores out here. That's why I'm asking.
There's a lot of thrift stores, and I will say this: the emergence of sports gear in thrifting,
yeah, definitely.
has been incredible.
You find some things that should not be there and should not be the price that they are for significantly cheaper than what it should be.
I mean, this shirt is thrifty. You can't really see it. It's like a fight night shirt. Really cool. But like some of the best Suns gear, sports gear that I own is from like a random thrift store in Prescott. It was like $15 for like this like vintage Cardinals like windbreak. Like, it is so cool. And it's like, what are we doing here? I need to buy stuff for like $200. So yeah, sure. I don't think I paid full price for anything that I'm wearing right now. Because then you just gotta be smart, because clothes can be expensive. Anyway, that's not what people are gonna be talking about at Media Day. Our second to last one is their desired identity.
Yeah, for me, I'm curious what the approach offensively and defensively will be, and how they find routes to success in that. Because it's one thing to say you want to play a certain style. Do your habits on a daily basis match what you need to do to where you can do it without thinking? If you want to always have space in one specific direction for Jaylen Green or Devin Booker to drive to, by game 14, 16 in the season, is that a habit, or are players still thinking that through, or is it just not happening?
Yeah.
And that all comes back to what are the habits and principles being established at practice through training camp and all of those things. If there's a habit, he's going to start seeing the snappy cadence of that process kind of showing out. Even if it's not as productive early on, you'll see the bones of what they're working towards.
Yeah, and finally, the last thing that we'll talk about here, as we appreciate everybody tuning in with us on PHNX Suns on a Tuesday, as you are listening or watching this right now, what are their expectations for the season internally, for themselves specifically, for the team? This is something that I believe is probably going to be asked to most people that are speaking on Wednesday.
Yeah, it'll be multiple iterations of this one. I don't think they allow for answers too close to the vest to be given to the public, because there's some intimacy with those things that you want to protect.
Sure.
I think they'll tiptoe around it. They'll give us enough to gauge, okay, this is where ESPN said they think they are. This is where all these other people think they might want to be. This is where they feel like they are. And that's the standard that media should be holding them to for what they allow us to be privy to.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see the responses to all of these.
Sure.
And there will be storylines that come up that are completely fresh and new. Somebody's going to say something. Somebody's going to ask a question. It's not going to be something that we have thought about, despite how much we've talked about this team over the entirety of the offseason, and we'll be here to react to that tomorrow after Media Day. You're going to have to give us some time to flip the videos and get ready. I mean, it's a big production haul over here, which means we always appreciate the Freckled Mamba, and of course, all of the production staff here at PHNX is going to help make that work. So be patient. The show will be a little bit later tomorrow, but it will be 100% worth it. And of course, we'll continue our coverage of this team as we build up for the preseason in the beginning of October with some games over in China. And then, of course, the rest of the preseason through the beginning of October. And then, boom, October 22nd, it is the first game of the Phoenix Suns season. We are almost there. So close. In fact, at this point, less than a month away by the time that people are watching this, because it will be the 23rd when people are watching this. Unless you're watching this earlier, which, hey, how'd you do that? How did you do that? Or you're watching later. Hey, catch up. But we appreciate all of you. Appreciate all you. Hit the like button, subscribe button. That stuff is all free. 5-star reviews. That stuff is all free. It does help us out here. And we're just trying to host the Phoenix Suns podcast over here, trying to do the best that we can and help continue to build this community and provide conversation and entertainment for this community in any way possible. So any support that you are willing to give, even if it's just watching these shows live or listening, everything is extremely appreciated over here on our side. If you do feel the need to invest in us even a little bit more, you can become a YouTube member today, get a special badge next to your name in the chat, get special emojis unlocked, like a Shazam emoji, a Devin Booker emoji. We've got even a lot more. We have an alignment emoji, and the more people join, the more emojis become unlocked. You can actually take a sneak peek, even if you're not a member, just by clicking the emoji button in chat. You can also become a diehard if you want to be joining our diehard Discord and get access to a lot of exclusive content, discounts to all of our events, an ad-free experience on our website, and so much more. And of course, you can follow us on socials. That's another way to support us at PHNX_Suns. That's on Twitter. That is also on Instagram. You can give a big shout out to the Freckled Mamba behind the Mac, making all the magic happen. You can follow him at Freckled Mamba. We need you to drop. This is post, like, this has already happened, but we need you to drop 40 tonight. Again, Freckled Mamba. You can follow Steven at StevenPG3. Even though he hates point guards, the PH does balance us out. You can follow me.
Sounds crazy.
At ERIKRUBY, a Rajon Rondo truther every single day of the week. Is he a dude? Is he too good to be a dude?
Too great to be a dude. Way too great to be a dude.
I just needed you to say that. And you'll hear a lot more of what we have to say about Media Day tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.